Yo, what is up, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another video. We've got another big trade, which is already the second one that's gone down before the trade deadline, so things are really starting to heat up. And today's trade is a pretty fun one that I've personally been hoping is going to happen, because it's been rumored for a little while now. The Indiana Pacers have traded Caris LeVert to the Cleveland Cavaliers along with a 2022 second-round pick from Miami for Ricky Rubio, a lottery-protected first-round pick from the Cavs this year, and a 2022 second-round pick from Houston, along with a 2027 second-round pick from Utah. That's kind of a lot to take in, so let's break it down. First, of course, the big news is Caris LeVert joining the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is super fun. This is something that I like a lot for the Cavaliers. They're a team that's only like a game and a half, 2 games out of the first seed in the Eastern Conference without Colin Sexton and missing Ricky Rubio, who they dealt in this trade, for the rest of the season. So the Cavs are already a really good team, even if they're not fully healthy. And so bringing in Caris LeVert to that fold only makes them better. And Cleveland, they're getting scary now. Like, they are really, really good. We take a look at how Caris LeVert's going to fit on this roster. One of the biggest issues that the Cavs have had since the Ricky Rubio injury was not having another playmaker and another ball handler. Ricky Rubio was so impactful for the Cavs in that role when Darius Garland would miss games, or even after Colin Sexton went out for a bit. Ricky Rubio could step in and start, he could play bigger minutes, he could be that ball handler, that veteran presence, and that was huge for that Cavs team. While LeVert isn't quite the veteran presence that Rubio was, he is still a very capable ball handler and a much better scorer than Ricky Rubio. Well, maybe I don't say much better because Rubio was going crazy for a little bit with the Cavs before he got hurt, but LeVert is a really competent scorer. A lot of games recently he's been putting up like 20 pieces. There was a game the other night where he had over 20 points in the first quarter. He's been having great assist numbers too. They've been letting him run some point guard, and so now the Cavs can slot him into that starting lineup and things get really scary. You look at a starting lineup of Darius Garland, Caris LeVert, Lauri Markkanen, Evan Mobley, and Jared Allen. That's a lot. That's so good, both defensively and offensively. And then you can stagger minutes between Darius Garland and Caris LeVert, let LeVert do some of the ball handling off the bench like I mentioned. You have him maybe run with like a bench lineup, and that just gives you so many options for guys that can handle the ball, guys that can score, shoot. This Cavs team is dangerous from all over the court. I love this trade for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And even not just this season, but going forward next season, he is going to be so big for them, because imagine they bring back Colin Sexton, and then you throw Colin Sexton in there, and you could start a lineup of Garland, Sexton, LeVert, Mobley, and Allen. You could even move Sexton to the bench if you really wanted to, or if you're not trying to pay Colin Sexton because now you've brought in Caris LeVert, who you're going to have to pay some decent money to, you can do a sign-in trade with Colin Sexton, bring in another piece, and so things continue to get scarier for this Cavs team, not to mention they've got so much young talent with Garland, Mobley, Allen, all being super young, and LeVert himself isn't even that old. And so this team's going to continue to get better. Cleveland is really positioning themselves to be the team for the next few years out in the East. They're going to be a really big threat to win the Eastern Conference within the next few years. So this is just another example of a great move that the Cavs have made to really accelerate that timeline. The Cavs have done such a phenomenal job of rebuilding this team from LeBron leaving and being bad for a couple of seasons, getting a guy like Darius Garland, getting Evan Mobley this past season. They had the 3rd overall pick in this last draft. And now they're a team that, with adding Caris LeVert, I think is a genuine chance to end up as the 1st seed in the Eastern Conference when this season is all said and done. That's super impressive turnaround, and it speaks to the impact of the guys that they've brought in, whether it's Markkanen, the improved play of Garland, Mobley being an incredible rookie, Isaac Okoro has had some great games, the depth that they've built up. The Cavs have done a really good job, and this Caris LeVert move for me is just another example of the Cavs continuing to make good, smart moves that help improve them not only now, but going forward for the future. It's not like they're mortgaging their future for this either. They give up their 1st round pick this year, which is going to be bad. It's going to be in the 20s most likely, along with a 2nd round pick. 2 of them. Those picks, while I think I'll talk about Indiana's side of things in a second, I think all that benefits Indiana a lot more than them. So it doesn't make sense to hold on to that. You don't need a 20s pick when you're a team like the Cavs that has an established core and is trying to compete now and for the next few seasons. It doesn't make sense to hold on to that. There were also rumors that Indiana wanted 2 first-round picks out of this, and they managed to get away with a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks, along with Ricky Rubio's contract that he's injured for the rest of the season, so it doesn't really matter. So the Cavs got out of this pretty scot-free and got a player in Caris LeVert that I think fills that hole that Ricky Rubio injury has left, while also making them a better team. I love this for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, on the side of the Pacers things, I've seen a lot of people saying the Pacers got fleeced, and sure, they did want 2 first-round picks for Caris LeVert, but no one was going to offer that to them. It just wasn't going to come through, and so eventually they decided to just kind of go with this move, and I think this is a decent move for them. Maybe there was some way they could have waited till the deadline and gotten more out of this, but I think this is fine. I think getting that first round pick, like I mentioned, it's going to be in the 20s, and so it's not super valuable to the Cavs. That's a lot more valuable to a Pacers team that is trying to rebuild now. Just bringing an extra first round pick, maybe they could even use another piece along with that pick to trade up when it gets to draft time. Say they don't trade like a Turner or a Sabonis, maybe they throw in that draft pick along with one of those guys as well as their own to really move up. Or they even just trade that one of those guys to move up to another high pick because their pick's probably going to be pretty high. Trading a guy like Caris LeVert is also addition by subtraction in the terms of the fact that they're going to now tank even more. Like, they're going to be a worse team now because they don't have Caris LeVert. And so that gives them a chance to better get a generational, transformational prospect in this draft, which is ultimately the goal of this team that feels like they're currently trying to reset. This move, I would hope, kind of is a preface to trading Sabonis, trading Turner, just getting off of more of those deals, because I think ultimately that should be the Pacers' goal of this deadline. But bringing in a first-round pick, as well as a pretty solid second in the Rockets' second-round pick, that will probably be like 31, 32, or if not like 33 at the worst. So that second round pick is basically a late first round pick as well. So you get 2 late first round picks. Basically, you bring in a couple more second round picks. I think this is a fine trade. I think this is fine for the Indiana Pacers. I don't think they got fleeced like a lot of people are saying. Sure, maybe they could have gotten more out there, but overall, I think they should be decently happy with this package, especially because, like I said, I think this move comes with more moves. I think Turner has the possibility to get moved. I think Sabonis has the chance. Even if those guys don't get moved, I think they'll get moved in the offseason. Ultimately, this is just the first domino to fall for the Pacers as they're trying to kind of reset this whole thing. So I don't think it's that bad of a return. Maybe they could have gotten more, but overall, I think this is fine. So those are my thoughts on this trade. I think it's really fun for the Cavs. If I have to give it a grade for the Cavs, I give them an A. If I've got to give one to the Pacers, I'll give them like a B. I think it's fine. Maybe they could have gotten more, but overall, like I mentioned, for a rebuilding team, this is a decent package to get back for a guy in Caris LeVert who the Cavs are going to have to pay anyways. So it kind of evens out. So those are my thoughts on this trade. Let me know what you thought about the trade in the comment section below. Who do you think won the trade? What grade would you give each team? And how do you see Caris LeVert fitting in with Cleveland? Do you think the Cavs now could win the East, or even if they couldn't win the East, how good do you think they could be? What is the Cavs ceiling now because of this trade? I appreciate y'all watching. I will see you all later. Real one, say it back.